definitely, overseas Chinese are becoming almost a target of suspicion because of the coronavirus outbreak. As Chinese immigrants, we work so hard all around the world, work so hard to be seen, to be recognized, and most importantly, to be of contribution in every industry, in every corner of the world. And for us, overseas Chinese as well as mainland and China, we're all striving to be recognized as that, to add value, to advance other people's lives in every possible way. And this came through in such an unfortunate event. And I just want to say that I hope that we reunite during and after the event, and to know that how we can help each other. Hey guys, this is Faye, and today I want to record a very different type of video because I have not talked about the coronavirus since its outbreak, I guess nearly 2 weeks ago, or just a little bit longer than that. And as a Chinese person, this particular virus, or this as an international event, has a very dramatic and also traumatic impact on my life, and in a different way than people who are living in China, in particular Wuhan and major cities such as Beijing and Shanghai. So I want this video to be completely non-political and non-religious. So if you're looking for a point of view, or for me to represent 50 million overseas Chinese or anybody in mainland China, well, this is not the video. And if you're looking for a political standpoint or any conspiracy or suspicion, this is not the video. So please turn it off. There are plenty of other videos on YouTube you can watch. I want this video to be about an overseas Chinese point of view, and that's me. Someone who's been living in Boston, Massachusetts for the past 20 years, someone who travels often to China, who has a very strong tie to China. I have lots of families still living in Beijing, in Guangzhou. I personally have never traveled to Wuhan and don't know anybody who lives there. Still, this is, I wouldn't say the first time, but one of the few times where I really think of myself as Chinese and look at the entire Chinese or Chinese population as a whole. And moreover, I think of overseas Chinese, I think about who we are as global citizens and how we should treat each other and how we need to come together to really support one another. So first of all, again, I'm an overseas Chinese, so I don't currently live in mainland China. My mom traveled here a couple of months ago and, missed the coronavirus by a good month or so. And she's very healthy, and she does have some other medical issues, given her age, that we need to deal with right now that has nothing to do with the virus. And because of her medical condition to be relatively urgent, I am grateful that she's here so that I can take care of her because I'm her caretaker. But together, we're witnessing so much has been going on in the news. We literally monitor not only on a daily basis, but multiple times a day. And where I get these informations I do get sources such as CNN, BBC, and New York Times. And I also do monitor news and stats from Baidu.com, which is the Chinese version of the Google search engine. And I have to say, first of all, that I'm very pleased in terms of the level of visibility and the data that I've been able to see, and how the data on Baidu is really keeping everybody up to date, plus helping people avoid any fake news, things like that, of that nature, especially when it comes to fake medical advice, such as, drinking or using bleach to get rid of the virus. I think those things are horrendous. So definitely don't want to see any brands or companies or individuals trying to take advantage of the situation and make it worse. So I want to talk about next of how I keep in touch with my friends, my classmates, my families and friends living in China. So as I'm recording this, and things are changing rapidly, right? Every day the stats are different, the situations are different. It is February 2nd, 2020 right now, and based on the data that I have and what you guys know as of right now, there are about 60 million or so mainland Chinese people are quarantined, and everybody's staying in their own homes, and it's very tough, guys. It's, everybody is doing what they can, following these rules and steps to make sure that they don't spread the virus further. However, it is very hard. Perhaps for people living overseas, or for people who aren't Chinese living in China at the moment, to think that this is a necessary measure, everybody's ought to do this. But when you think about when people living inside a very confined space, there's food supply and there's medical needs that will be very difficult, be very challenging to meet. And it's very hard. And I have cousins who have very young children, age 3 and 5, and the kids find it extremely difficult to stay inside. So what they have to do is they have to put on a face mask, and then they'll have to go outside for a very limited period of time. And I have a series of videos that I shot in China from 6 months ago, 12 months ago. I can't wait to edit them together, because I want to show the world, while China is being thought to be this sort of epicenter, the quarantine place, it really used to be a very vibrant place where people were playing outside all the time. And the nature of Chinese people is that, yes, we love to eat, we love to get together, and we love to celebrate lives, no matter how challenging it can be sometimes. It's a very warm culture. So, I feel like this in particular is very difficult on Chinese people. This is a very historical event. I don't recall being, witnessing something like this other than in 2003. SARS was another historical event. At the time, both of my parents were living in Beijing, and I remember having these conversations. At the time, wasn't all that easy to have WeChat or Skype, all these things. So I remember literally having to call them up with a phone card to find out what's going on. But now the updates come through more rapidly and more frequently. And next, I want to talk about, speaking of food, I think there's a lot of suspicion and a lot of talk around how this disease originated from, and there are a lot of different analysis and research being done. I'm personally very curious to see what it is, from what types of animal and how it was contracted. And the thing is, look, I know that everybody has probably seen at this point that Chinese people eating snakes and eating bat soup. Have I personally tried them? Absolutely not. Definitely I understand a certain parts of China and Chinese people are known to be more adventurous when it comes to food, but that's actually a much smaller section of the population. And I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's just, not just me personally, but I know most of my friends are not that adventurous when it comes to food. So I don't think this is an opportunity to necessarily discriminate against all Chinese people. We're, as a nation, I know, again, I'm not here to represent everybody, but, inside mainland China as well as overseas Chinese, we're really saddened by the situation. And I'm just praying that this will be over as soon as possible. And I do want to talk about how we can come together. I feel like this is a message really not just for Chinese people, and this particular situation is for us as global citizens to think about how we should come together. Because as I'm reading the news right now, it's a very scary situation. Coronavirus spreads very quickly. The fatality rate is lower than SARS, which means it's currently around 2.5 to 3.5%. As of, I think, February 1st, that was the stats I looked at yesterday. But this is, I know, rapidly changing again. And, there are a lot of news. For example, one major, very prominent European music schools is rejecting students from China. And right now in the US, I'm sure in other parts of the world, definitely, overseas Chinese are becoming almost a target of suspicion because of the coronavirus outbreak. I understand that at the end of the day, we are human, we can be suspicious of one another, but to know that, in the US right now, yesterday, the 8th case came about and it was very unfortunate, and it was in Boston. There are 8 cases in the US. I don't think, it's an opportunity for us to be rejecting each other and then to take so many steps back, given how far we've come to respect and to be able to love and to accept one another. And I think it's a Chinese immigrant who has arrived in the US back in 2000, and I know many people who came before I did. And, as Chinese immigrants, we work so hard all around the world, work so hard to be seen, to be recognized, and most importantly, to be of contribution in every industry, in every corner of the world. And for us, overseas Chinese as well as mainland and China, we're all striving to be recognized as that, to add value, to advance other people's lives in every possible way. And this came through in such an unfortunate event. And I just want to say that I hope that we reunite during and after the event, and to know that how we can help each other. This could potentially happen in many other parts of the world, as from the 1918 pandemic of the swine flu, and 2003 SARS in China, and MERS in the Middle East. And these things could pop up, but how could we prevent it? That's up to medical professionals in the US, that's CDC. I think we need to look for trustworthy and reputable sources to learn as much as we can, and meanwhile, love one another, and to know that we're in it together and we're gonna get through it. So thank you so much for watching this video. I certainly was very hesitant to record it, and there's a sense of qualification and whatnot, but again, it's my personal point of view, and I know it can be so incomplete. It's not entirely scientific, but it's a very tough situation, and I really pray for everyone, for anyone who's being impacted all over the world at the moment. And so I will leave in the comments below, in the description, of music sources, and also an article I wrote about finding sources where that can help you relax. And I think we all need that right now, and to meditate, to be more mindful of the situation. And so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.